love, Scarlet Everose here. Welcome back. Last episode we explored Yuji Ichidori, the courageous heart of Jujutsu Kaisen. Today we're diving into someone darker, more philosophical, and incredibly complex, Suguru Geto. If you're new to the series, don't worry, we're keeping things intriguing and relatively spoiler light, while exploring what makes Geto such a fascinating antagonist. Before we jump in, a huge thank you to all support and the engagement lately. It's been so exciting exploring these anime characters with you, and your comments and reactions really make this series feel alive. So before we begin, you guys, as you guys might know, we're on episode 4, you guys. I cannot believe I've been doing this for a year. This is such a huge accomplishment for me. It has its ups and down moments, but it's really fun. I love learning about new characters and getting into a new anime, and it's been really nice. And I love how you guys support me and have been really patient with me through all this time, and I love how exciting each episode gets for me, no matter the challenges, and I love to do every segment. It's a lot of fun. If you guys want to follow my socials, they're down in the description below. Alright, let's dive into this character. Segment 1, Backstory and Personality. Satoru Gojo is a former Jujutsu sorcerer with a complicated past and incredibly strong convictions. What makes Geto such an interesting what makes Geto so interesting that he wasn't always seen as the antagonist. At one point, he stood along powerful sorcerers like Satoru Gojo, and the two shared a close relationship while working as students and sorcerers together. Why I wanted to get into this character is because he's so interesting with Gojo. And I've already made a video about Gojo if you guys already want to see a video up there in the title card. So basically, Geto wasn't always I'm sorry if I keep butchering his name. I'm still learning a lot of characters' names, so I'm sorry if I mess up his name, but Geto was very much, involved with Gojo. They were the closest of friends, Gojo's only best friend, to be honest. And then, Geto was he had so much ideologies, and Gojo was completely opposite of him. And however, several events began to change Geto's worldview. One major moment is the death of Riko Amani, a mission that deeply affects both Gojo and Geto. After witnessing the cruelty and the pressure placed on Sorcerer, Geto begins to question the entire system. So, since Geto is such a rigid character in the beginning, yes, he's kind at first, but he gets tired of sorcerers being put down, being told what to do, what not to do, that he just got tired of it, and he was like, you know what, man, even though he really didn't say that to Gojo, but it was kind of like him saying, you know what, man, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of following people's orders. If people don't want to be involved in this, who the frick cares? Like, it's kind of like, if you don't think like me, then I'm closing you out type of deal. Over time, he develops a belief that sorcerers are constantly risking their lives to protect non-sorcerer, meaning like people like you and I, and the very people whose negative emotions create curses in the first place. So I think in Gojo's episode I explain a lot more. So cursed energies are basically a symbolism for negative energy. So whatever you feel in that moment, you become, that's like the negative emotion becomes stronger. But it only comes if you're a sorcerer. If you're a non-sorcerer, nothing really happens. But like sorcerers can see the monsters while you can't, basically. And the belief of his slowly evolves into something much darker. Yeah, so like he just gets tired of protecting people when he believes he shouldn't, and it really kind of comes down to when beliefs start in ideology starts to become a really huge thing for Geto, and he just gets tired of it. He's like, screw this, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. Like, for example, there's a breaking point. So there's like a backstory of him where one of the most important turning points in Geto's story happens when he discovers a village taking advantage of two sorcerer young girls. The villagers fear their abilities and imprison them, treating them like monsters instead of children. At that moment, Geto reaches a psychological breaking point. Instead of protecting the villagers, his resentment towards non-sorcerers explodes. He wipes out the entire village and rescues the two girls. So this happens when Geto is still a teenager and he just gets tired. He hears about these two girls that get imprisoned, and he gets tired of watching sorcerers get either hurt or imprisoned just for other people, or just because non-sorcerers quote unquote do not believe in them, or they think they're too much. That movie makes the point where Geto fully abandoned the path of traditional sorcerer and begins pursuing his own rational vision of the world. A world where only Jujutsu Sorcerer exists. So basically, Jujutsu Kaisen is basically about where sorcerers protect non-sorcerers. And Geto gets tired of it. He's like, screw this, I'm tired of rescuing you people, you guys don't appreciate us, why should I keep going? And that's where it sends a drift and a kind of like beef with Gojo, which I'm gonna also talk about. So the Gojo confrontation. After the accident, the principal of the Jujutsu High, Masamachi Yagara, which is the principal, informs Gojo about what Geto has done. Gojo is shocked, obviously. Geto wasn't just another sorcerer, he was his closest friend. So Gojo confronts him in a crowded street, and it's one of the most emotional scenes in the series. As people walk past them, time almost feels like it slows down while they talk about their beliefs and the path Geto has chosen. Gojo realizes something heartbreaking in that moment. Geto truly believes in his ideology. Despite having the power to stop him, Gojo hesitates. Not because he isn't strong enough, it's because he can't bring himself to kill his best friend. The hesitation marks the final structure in the relationship. So real quick, if you guys don't understand where this is going, basically Geto attacks a village that he doesn't know, and to rescue these two girls that are sorcerers, and Gojo finds out about it through their principal, and he just, and Gojo is so powerful, you guys. He has the potential to kill him, but he couldn't because he was one of his closest friends. And mind you, on the other hand, they were really close, almost like family as well, and Gojo couldn't really help that or bring himself to that. But Geto didn't care. He's like, sorry dude, I'm done with this. either you're my friend or you're not, and he just really abandoned Gojo right there, and that's why I'm really conflicted with Geto. I know Geto in the very beginning meant something to Gojo, but a betrayal like that though, just, I don't know, it just sucks, man. It's like, damn, imagine having an only friend and that what happens. Also, I'm gonna put an important timeline note here. The Kenjaku twist. And spoilers ahead here, one of the most important details to understand is that during this moment, the person Gojo is speaking to is still the real Geto. So I was kind of confused for a little bit, you guys. I ain't gonna lie. I had to rewatch and say, is this Geto, or is this someone else? No, it was him. And there's a cursed energy named Kenjaku. The body takes over by Kenjaku happens much later in the story. After the events of the movie Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which I recommend watch if you guys have finished both of the anime. Geto eventually dies, which I'm not gonna say much on that. Only after his death does Kenjaku take over his body using a disturbing ability that allows him to transplant his brain into other hosts. That means when we see Geto in the later series, the body may look the same, but the mind behind it belongs to someone else completely different. The twist adds to another tragic layer to Geto's story and expands the larger mysteries surrounding the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. So basically, I'm not gonna say much, but there's a part where, Kenjaku, makes, Gojo face his dead best friend in a most messed up way. And mind you, since Gojo already has his sixth sense, he already sensed it before anything happened. So that's just another part of messed up. Alright, let's keep going. Segment 2. Abilities and style. Even before these twists, Geto was already one of the most formidable sorcerers in the series. His ability focuses heavily on controlling curses. He can command and manipulate multiple curses at once. His fighting style is tactical rather than reckless. Every move he makes feels calculated like a chess match. Unlike characters who rely purely on raw strength, Geto often wins through intelligent preparation and strategic thinking. So kind of think of it like, not truly, but Sukuna a little bit, and I have talked about Sukuna in my Ichidori video as well. So it's kind of like that. So it's kind of, so instead of being, yes, he's a good fighter, but he's more good at intelligence more than he is fighting. And he can control curses, he can control people if he wanted to, and he can take away curses as well. So like I said, since he's a sorcerer, well, basically, even though it's kind of like Kenjaku's style a little bit, but he, I think I'm talking more about Kenjaku here. But you can see, no, actually, I'm talking about the movie, so spoilers ahead here. So the actual Geto, before he was taken over by Kenjaku, he actually could see curses, and he actually brings people in his temple, by the way, to, which he calls monkeys, by the way. He calls every non-sorcerer monkeys. That's what he refers to them as. And there was this one segment where a girl was coming in and she felt highly uncomfortable she felt highly uncomfortable, but she didn't know why. But Geto, being the sorcerer that he is, he saw what was going on, and there was how can I put it in YouTube appropriate language here? This cursed energy was making this girl do things that she wouldn't normally do to herself, and he took it away. He got it off, and he even asked her how it was, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I feel so good." And it's because he can see curses, and it's not saying that he wants to help these people. He doesn't, as long if they're trying to be in his cult, yeah, go for it. That's what he wants. But to actually help people, no, he already said screw to that part, so he didn't. And he was like, he was just trying to get people into his cult, basically more sorcerers more than non-people. But I think in that moment he really didn't care at that moment. Segment 3, fan appeal and character impact. So why are fans so fascinated with Geto? His motivations are complex. He isn't purely evil. And before he was, no, he wasn't before. His calm confidence and charisma make him incredibly memorable. His history with Gojo adds emotional weight to the story. So before he became evil, Kanyaku took over, he was actually very quiet, but he was very kind. He wasn't as logical or ideological, if that's even a word, but with Gojo, he was calm, he was, he was fun around Gojo and everyone else, but, and he wasn't purely evil. In the beginning, he loved helping people. He kept Gojo on track. You can tell that so Gojo is the reckless, fun one, and Geto is the one that keeps him in check and makes sure he doesn't do anything dumb. But he got tired of it, and he got tired of protecting people, and if that had to mean betraying his own friend because of it, screw it, he didn't care. He was tired of it. And that's what makes it so sad, because in the very beginning he wasn't evil, but due to his logical, ideological thinking, it got the best of him. And characters like Geto invite viewers to ask difficult questions about morality, power, and ideology. So, yeah, it really does. But I'm gonna say this. I'm talking about past Geto. If he saw the person he would become, he would be shocked. But that's what happens when you're deep into really extreme beliefs. And just be careful on that, because you really don't know how you can either be a positive source or a negative source. You really don't know in that moment. Segment 4. Final thoughts plus what's next. What Geto's story reminds us: conviction can be powerful but also dangerous. Yes, so be very careful, you guys, on what you believe in and what you see and hear, because, people can be sucked into something. Either they're not trying to believe him, or they do believe him and they take it into whole circumstances. And when you're not careful on that, it can have some dire consequences. But it can also you can also have an understanding of someone's perspective. Doesn't mean you always have to agree with them, which is true. You don't have to agree with everything that you see or do, and you know, you, like, look, there's a lot of things I don't agree with a lot of people, but do I respect that someone for some odd reason? Heck yeah. Because, you know, if it means, you know, but sometimes you guys, just because you don't agree with them, but they start pushing you that you need to, please leave. Cause those type of people aren't worth it. There's a balance to that. You can agree to disagree, but if people are pushing you into things you don't want to do, that is their issue, you know, and you don't have to, you know, and you don't have to deal with that. But also, even the antagonists have layers that can make the story richer. Oh yeah, very interesting character. Do I have a love-hate with Geto? Sort of. I don't appreciate it how in the very end he betrayed Gojo because he didn't believe in his beliefs. Geto actually low-key, without saying anything, was actually kind of defensive towards what you know, what Geto thought and no, towards what Gojo thought of him, and Gojo was just trying to say to him, hey man, just have fun, don't be so serious all the time. And that's what I love about Gojo. He represents fun. He represents that, hey, don't be all serious all the time. And Geto took that to offense, that Gojo wasn't complying or wasn't understanding his friend. So he was like, you know what, screw this. You know, I don't care if we break our friendship because of that. If you don't believe in my beliefs, well then screw you, you know? And that's very unfortunate because you can tell Gojo really was affected a lot by it. So, yeah. So, thanks so much for you guys for watching. Remember, new episodes continue regularly, and while we are exploring new anime characters, Hunter x Hunter highlights and other favorites will be a part of the series. And as always, please don't forget to follow me on my socials below. And as always, love you all. Bye!